View of a brand right here, UT-LNTELA, UT Lentella, I'm not sure. So this is something I got off of the Amazon Vine program. It's actually kind of nice. It has its own type of unique application. I do happen to like my lever locks for most things, but if you're ever something that you actually are going to take apart off and on, it's inside, you don't have to worry about them getting wet. You can get a pretty good connection here with this. So how these work here is you'll slide these into these holes just like this. So if you have a positive and a negative, or like a positive and a ground, you can slide them in there. Obviously, you're not going to want to do this with power to it. Always make sure your wires are already spun up so you don't have anything sticking off to the sides. They're not insulated, like on each side. They're not insulated very well, so that is kind of a knock against them in my opinion. But it hasn't been an issue so far for the couple of them that I used and connected up in my actual car. But it is kind of something I like. If I had to pick about the design flaw, I would like to see this like a rubber or a solid plastic part in there that definitely separates the two sides completely. But it hasn't been an issue so far, so just be careful if you do decide to pick these up to make sure that the wires, there's no stray wires or anything, or it can cause a short. So you put these off in their own hole, off like the side like this. Make sure they're in their groove, bring them down, and you will just take and snap them into place. And then these will not pull out very easy at all, sort of like the lever locks, but this is more of just a little clip down here that holds them, not an actual spring. And what you do is you'll have that and take your other one, say your other power and ground, you'd have, do the same thing here, spin that up, put that in the hole, bring it down, latch it in, and then once they're latched in, then you will go ahead and slide just like this, slide them in. Not sure why this one's not wanting to close also, probably because I had to twist it tight. Now this is a larger gauge than what it actually says that it recommends. On the thing I believe it said 20, we scroll all the way down here, 22 gauge to 18 gauge wires. I find that it actually can hold this 14 gauge just fine, but definitely not any bigger than that. This one here, not sure why all of a sudden it decided it wasn't gonna close. Like I said, it might have just been because it was open. There we go. Now it's wanting to stay. No issue there. And those are snug, but not too tight to pull apart. And they will give a nice, good connection there. So if it's something that you have to take apart fairly often, or you could use these, but definitely want to keep them out of a water source, because while you can black tape the back sides here to make sure, individually put a little bit of black tape in between these two wires and then around it, especially if it's a positive and a negative, you definitely don't want to just black tape them together. And then just in case, I would definitely weave in around the two like a figure 8 pattern if you're going to use black tape around this. But the other thing is, if you just don't pull the shielding back, the rubber shielding back quite as far, that shouldn't be an issue here. However, this is just for demonstrating purposes. I wasn't trying to measure on this for specifics. But like I said, the main design flaw in there would be the fact that they don't have a real good shielding between the two. It's not my favorite, but this is nice in case you have to connect and disconnect things. But it is definitely not going to be, I mean, it's pretty solid, but I still wouldn't trust it for water. Overall, decent, has its applications. I do like my lever locks probably a little bit more, but the whole thing is going to be black tape for me, so it would be a little bit more of a pain in the rear end to have to connect and disconnect than this would be here.